I did not clean my desk yet. I probably won't get to it until this afternoon. I have to leave in a little bit to help my daughter. She's got a MRI today, and she couldn't get, I mean, they both work, so it was just, somebody's got to watch the kids. And that is me, happily. And so I want to film now, and then I think this afternoon my big task is going to be, I've got to film one other thing this afternoon for another course, and then I think my task is going to be to clean my desk. Anyways, I'm gonna set my camera up. I just wanted to show you how ridiculous it is. And then look at this, look at this, look at this. It doesn't stop on my desk. This is bad, it's dangerous. It's Jenga, art Jenga. We have all sorts of strange shadow things happening today. It's a very weird day. It's very, very dark. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's a dandelion lesson, so it's not like we need to see precise details, right? But at least this way we get a more realistic view of color without a heavy, big, bright light, which also casts more shadows. So anyways, I want to share some new things. I'm very, very inspired right now by mixed media, and with a base of watercolor and gouache. I want to show you my sketchbook. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. I have two sketchbooks, three, that I want to talk about. I already did a video about two of these, but I took one of them yesterday to babysit my granddaughter, and I played with our art supplies for a while. But this is the newest one that I got from Strathmore. This is the Strathmore 400 watercolor sketchbook. Not the least expensive of the sketchbooks that I'm using, but pretty darn nice. And I just want to show you, we were playing with just some watercolor together, and that's my that's her, she said. And of course I totally messed up and didn't leave enough space, so I have a headless polar bear. But I'm still happy with how I did the polar bear. I'm not that disappointed in it. But anyways, this was a lesson I did for YouTube. It wasn't a lesson, it was just testing some stuff. And this was the dandelion lesson for last week, which I really enjoyed. These are some gouache samples and some watercolor. And I was just kind of playing in here. But so that we already talked about this one. This one is the Strathmore 500 mixed media, and it is absolutely delightful. It's probably my favorite right now. It's a hardcover. This is an older one, and I think the newer ones actually lie flatter, I think. I know I've had one fairly recently that it was pretty flat when I opened it. I'm not sure about the soft cover. It also comes in soft cover. I've had both, but I need to order a new one when this one is done and see it. But I will say the paper is probably my favorite of any sketchbook. I tore a bunch of pages out because this was I used it for an older project that I didn't want in here anymore. So I did this whole lesson in here, right? That's my goal, is to be able to have a sketchbook that I can do everything in, that I don't have loose sheets laying around, even really, really nice projects. And so when we do our bird, I'm going to use this paper. You all can use good watercolor paper if you want, but I'm going to use this paper. There was absolutely no reason why I can't do it in here. Again, just little sketchy things. And then here, I started just playing with just kind of soft, beautiful colors that I love, and then mostly watercolor. Actually, this is all deep, deep light watercolor, the Flower Moon palette. But then I use some colored pencil, some oil pastel, some acrylic marker. I just have the best time, right? I just had the best time. Loved it. And then over here, these are some new oil pastels that I got. I was kind of talking about those. Love them. And then here I was playing, and here. And this is just oil pastel. It's so pretty, right? And so I kind of want to use that today in our lesson. And I'm going to show you the sets that I got that are really inexpensive. I was looking at one of my granddaughter's books, and I just loved this lion, and I kind of did him my own way. Kind of looked at the illustration in the book and changed the colors a little bit. But this is a clover from my head. I don't know what this is. It's just make-believe. I'll make-believe. But oil pastel, it's just super fun. And I don't have a fixative yet. So I just put these pieces of wax paper inside my daughter had at her house. And I am going to get a fixative because I know I'm going to keep using this medium. So today, I already smudged here, but that's okay. I just want to talk a little bit about mixed media. And I find that putting a clip on the left side weighs it down, right? And so it lies a little flatter, but it's still not perfectly flat, you guys. I mean, a real notebook that lies flat is like this one by Pith, and it's so fantastic that way, but I hate the paper. Absolutely hate it. So anyways, that's that. Oh, I wanted to show you one more sketchbook, and that is this one. And when I was talking about this, I asked you guys if you had any recommendations for materials, and one of you sent me a message about this book. And it comes like this. It's got a band like that. It's like a chipboard cover. It's by Ranger, and I will say it's very nice. It wasn't that inexpensive, but it's very nice. It has a little folder here that you could put odds and ends. I don't know if I'll use that or not. That's probably a waste for me. But it's called Delusions Creative Journal. I just saved this to show you guys. Delusions, Dylusions. It's a very nice book. It does lie flat, okay? I would say the paper is not for watercolor. I don't like the way watercolor felt on it. I would say you could use it for gouache and any mixed media work. Acrylic gouache, marker, crayon, pastel, colored pencil, ink, anything like that. Watercolor, I wasn't crazy about it. It's not horrible, but the paper is very smooth, and so I like a little bit of tooth, like at least a hot press finish, right? This is smoother than that. It's almost shiny, but it's very nice, and it does lie flat. Okay? So I wanted to share that with you too. And thank you to the person who recommended it to me. So I'm just gonna start with that little smudge. I'm gonna paint some loose florals on here, and then with watercolor, and then show you the use of some of these pastels, okay? So I have, I'm just gonna use this palette because it's small and I need to clean my desk. So I have no room. And this is just a mixture of Winsor Newton, Daniel Smith, and I think Rublev and Holbein. It's just basic paints, right? All right, let me grab a brush. Okay. So, let's start with this Pyrrole Rubin. I'm gonna paint a little rose. I probably need another clip on here. That's just too pink for me. Let's mix some other things in there. Okay, that's better. That's better. All right, I'm just gonna start like right here, and sort of paint some petally shapes, and then some water. And then really dilute it for the outer edges. And then once it dries, and I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. This is not a real rose. This is just a symbol of a rose. I'm not always the biggest fan of symbols, but sometimes these just very soft, pretty flowers are so much fun. Then I'm gonna grab this Deep Deep Light palette. This is I love this one. And I'm gonna paint another, just real soft. And you don't have to follow any image. You can just paint smushy shapes that are petal-like and it works, right? And drop some water in it, and then I'm gonna take some yellow, put some yellow in there. So the idea is, to, that's probably too much. I like sometimes a little dark toward the center. Just to smush some colors down, right? Just to really be loose with it. And there. And then I'll take some green. And just follow that piece. And the nice thing is when you use, that's such a pretty green. That's the new green from Deep Light. I can't remember what it's called. Wagon green. Okay. And then, you know, you don't have to even use any kind of, I'm just like putting shapes down. It truly doesn't matter. You could put a little bit of a stem. And just smush it down, right? I mean, truly. Be as loose as you want. I'm gonna put a little bit more yellow there. I just love that center of yellow. That looks fine. Once this dries, I can go in and just smush those around a little bit too. There. And you could go in even darker if you wanted to in the center. That's the thing, you know, you've got with flowers like that, is that they're always darker. They're darker in the center than on the outside. And so if you go in with a little bit extra and add some dark, and then if you make sure that these outer edges are nice and light, lighter, right? That gives it a more realistic look. And that's what I was doing here. Same kind of thing. I would want to go in and add darkness to the inside, because typically that's what we see. But the beauty is once this dries, then we can go in then we can go in with oil pastel and it's very different. So let's do a little bit more. I'm gonna use some greens and I'm just gonna paint some leaves, just really soft leaf shapes, using a very light touch with my brush. Here, there's another leaf. Really, really loose. I'm hardly holding my brush, right? Let's imagine a stem coming down here. Maybe there's another. So very, very light. And then I can always take a little bit of another color on that stem, so it just looks a little bit different from everything else. And where I've got bends in the leaves, I can add a little bit of darker color. See how there's a bend, it turns, so I can use a little bit of darker color to make that look like there's a real bend in the leaf. So super fun to just be loose. And I will say, it takes practice, right? Just like anything else, it takes practice. But try it, you have to just jump in. All right, now, what I wanna do is I wanna let this dry. I don't wanna put oil pastel on top of wet watercolor, okay? And then we'll come back and we'll put some little touches on this that just sort of bring it to life. And I think it's just kind of magical. All right, so let's let this dry. So while this is drying, I thought I would show you, and it's almost dry, but not quite. And they really do have to be dry. Otherwise, what I have found is it tends to rip up your paper, and we don't want that. So I wanted to show you these oil pastels that I got. Now, there are many different kinds, right? And I just don't have the money to get the expensive ones, so I wanted to try a really, really cheap one, and these are by Montmartre. You can get them on Amazon. They are extra soft oil pastels. I got 2 sets. You can get a really big set for under $30, like 100, right? But I don't need that many, and I couldn't decide between these two, so I got both. And I thought if they were really similar, I would send one back. They were $11, and I think that's a pretty good price. And you know what? They're super nice. They're really, really nice. And I just want to show you. I'll just show you in here. So I have a very small selection of Sennelier oil pastels. I have had them for a really long time. In fact, I have 5. Here they are. And first of all, I don't like the way they smell. They just, I don't know, this is about a Sennelier. I have 4, sorry. I don't like the way they smell. They just, I don't know, they smell icky to me. These are the colors that I have, all right? And I'll show you one that's comparable to one that I have in this set. And they're all actually comparable to some that are in this set. But if I use this is the watercolor paper. You can see it's very, very pigmented, and it's really super simple to blend. You can use your finger, just wash your hands when you're done, right? And you could use a blending stump, you can use a pastel brush, all of those things. A stiff oil painting brush. I kind of like my finger, I don't know. But anyways, just make sure you wash your hands. And then this one, let me just show you, is the Montmartre. And so you can see, same thing, right? It goes on the paper, all right? And it also blends really nicely. For my level of expertise and what I'm going to be using oil pastels for, there's no reason I need any more than this, right? They're perfectly lovely. The one thing I noticed that I don't notice as much with the Sennelier is that when I push hard and, you know, put them down, they're very smooth. If I push hard on these to put them down, see, it happened just a little bit. I get like a little fleck that comes off, right? But big deal. And you know what? The funny thing is when you're actually using them, it's kind of pretty, the little flecks. It gives it texture, and I kind of like it. So anyways, that's the main difference that I've seen. Otherwise, obviously, these are better pigments, all of that, right? I mean, these are probably artist grade pigments. I don't know. They're very nice, but these don't smell at all to me, right? And I mean, it's $11 where these can be $4 or $5 a piece, okay? So if you are someone who's going to use oil pastel as your main art form, and you're going to be really painting portraits with them or something, I understand why you would get these. It's just like I buy Winsor & Newton watercolors, right? Or Sennelier or some other professional brand instead of using Prang when I do a really fine piece of work. That's not what I'm using these for, right? I'm using them for small projects that are in a sketchbook or in a little painting that I might send to someone or give to someone or maybe even sell. I think it's fine, okay? So I got 2 sets. I got this one. This is called the macaron set, which is very pretty pastels. And in the lid, they give you the name of the color and sort of what it looks like, right? And so I compared them between the 2 sets, and there are no repeats. This one comes with gold and silver right here, and they're nice. I wouldn't say they're terribly metallic, but they're pretty bright colors, and they're nice to use, like for a spot of pale gray. Like the silver is very, I'll come down here on this, and if I wanted to put little silver touches on a plant or something, it works really nicely, right? But I wouldn't say it's terribly shiny or metallic looking. It's actually quite nice. So if you're someone who's opposed to sparkle, this isn't going to offend you. And the gold is the same. It's more like just a really nice gold color. All right, I have seen oil pastels by Sennelier and other brands that have metallics that are very metallic. So if you're looking for that, these are not gonna satisfy that for you, okay? So that's the macaron set. And then this one is called the Natural Hues, all right? Ultra blendable and muted tones, perfect. So this is the variety. You get 2 whites, which is super because I know I'll be using white a lot. But such pretty colors. They just really match my aesthetic. They also come in vibrant hues, and they come in all sorts of colors, right? Even neon, which I might get sometime because I like neon colors too, for a little pop here and there. Super nice though, right? I really, really like them. Really like them. Okay. So let's take a look now. I'm going to open both of these. I don't know which one I'm going to use. So I'm going to open both. All right, let's come back to what we painted. So I think the beauty of this, I mean, there's something so satisfying for me lately to sit down and just paint, right? And not really think about looking at anything or being bothered by that. I just want to paint some pretty flowers, and I could do a whole page in my sketchbook, and if I wanted to, I could rip the page out and cut them into pieces or tear them out and tape them onto cards and send to people. I mean, possibilities are endless, right? Just because it's in a sketchbook doesn't mean it has to stay in the sketchbook. Or I could do some little pieces on Zentangle cards and send them out in the mail, because I'll always do those. All right, so let's just start with our rose. And I think I'm gonna start with this deep color. This is called Pastel Cherry. It's not pastel at all. And I can go into the middle here, and I can just put a couple like dark little spots, right? Just to emphasize some of that maybe. All right, I could do that. But I can also go to a really pale pink, all right? And I can kind of come out here onto where the leaf is, right? And I can add that way, or even a little bit on the edge of a petal to lighten it up, or this one to sort of lighten it up, right? Just so pretty. But I particularly like to smush it around the edges and stuff and just sort of extend what I was doing. And then I can go in and use some beautiful greens on the leaves. And if I wanted to, for instance, sort of capture a little bit more on a leaf, I can do that, right? Add a little bit more color. I can even blend it a little bit with my finger if I wanted to. A little bit right in here. Blend it if I wanted to. And then I could use a really pale green if I wanted to emphasize something like that. Right? It's just so much fun. I can't even stand it. All right, so it can be as simple as that, right? Just a little bit. And then when you see it in person, it has this dimension and this texture and this oil painting quality to it that I am in love with. So in here, let's see, I kind of like this sort of soft taupey color. It's called Pastel Chestnut. So I could come in and I could smush some of that in there if I wanted to. Because sometimes you just want a little bit of dark, right? And then I could go with my white and add some highlights in the stronger parts of my flower, like here. And you see when I really press on these that I get those little bits of texture. I love that. I absolutely love it. And so I want to leave that. I don't want it to go away, right? I like that texture. If I want it to soften down a little, I can just press it in, but I really like the texture. All right, and then I can go in with maybe some soft yellow and put some texture in the center, and then maybe some darker yellow, right? And maybe a color that's a little bit of a surprise, like a really pretty pale turquoise. I could go in and just do a little touch, right? A little fleck. So beautiful. And then on the leaves, I could do the same as I did over here. Like where it comes down, I can put some darker bits, right? I can darken areas or round them out a little bit. Here I've got, and just use different greens, right? And then I could go in with those really soft pastel greens and put a little tip on something. It's just so fun, right? And it gives it like this, like it's frosted almost. I don't know. I thoroughly enjoy this. I could take a darker green yet, and I could come in here. And then go at it with a lighter green, right? Just give it like more creaminess or something. So super, super fun, super fun. And then over here, I could do kind of the same thing where I could go in and I could emphasize areas that are curling. Right, so I've got the emphasis of that, or if I want it to be a little darker in places, right? I could go in with a darker color like this if I wanted to emphasize a stem. Give it a little bit more oomph somewhere, okay? And then what I thought would be kind of fun is to put some berries in here. So I'm going to use this color, it's sort of a lavender, and watch this. I can go right over, right? I can go right over the watercolor and color right over it. So and put some little berries in there. And then I could go in with a darker color and sort of hint of some shadows and dimension just by putting little marks. And then I could go really dark. Let's see, here's a darker one. Just a few little tones, right? And make some darkness. And then I could go really, really light with something. So I could use white or I could use pale blue. I kind of like the idea of white, and I could go in. And I don't even have to think about where I'm putting it. I'm just making marks, right? And I get this sort of yummy look. And you could go in with surprise colors like maybe just a touch of a candy pink in a couple places where it's just a little surprise. And I could go in with a little blue and just put one little dot. It's just so much fun. You don't have to really think about it, right? It's just very painterly and expressive and impressionistic. That's a good word. I really, really love them. So I don't know if it's something you want to try or not, but it's not a huge investment. Get one set and try it, right? If I were going to choose one over the other, I would probably get the natural set because it has some nice dark tones and it's got those two whites. The whites are much more useful than the gold and the silver. So if I were going to get one set, I would get this one, the natural hues. Okay, so Montmartre natural hues, 26 pieces. They have all kinds of sets. So yeah, super fun, right? Oh, just love it. And so until I get a fixative, I have a fixative in my cart, but I can't do it right now. But when I can, I'll get it. And until then, I'm just going to put pieces of wax paper in between. Yeah. And the fixative will fix it. And I don't know if these ever completely dry. I know that the Sennelier do not, but these are not really real like that. Blend with finger, paper stump, or spread with a palette knife. Use on colored stock to make pastels pop. Doesn't say. But something we can look out for, right? I'll leave this open today when I come home from my daughter's. I'll just check it and see how it is. All right, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I hope you'll try this. I want to do more work like this. I want to explore more just sort of creative, impressionistic things with you. It's just so enjoyable. Okay, I will talk to you later. Take good care. Bye.